Chapter 6. Know that you know. I have been asked to give out a statement of healing. In reality, we only heal ourselves. There is a very potent factor there, because the moment that you see the divinity or God within the individual, you and God are the majority, always. Now God, or that divine principle, knows nothing about imperfection. We know today that is exactly what transpires at the healing shrines throughout the world. In going to those shrines, the people put their thoughts wholly upon the accomplishment and fulfillment of perfect health, accepting the emanation that the shrine represents, and the healing takes place. We can show you that in photography. A very fine doctor in one of our large cities worked with us. He asked his associates to send him cases with certain conditions that could not be healed by medical fraternities, together with their x-rays and records. The camera used shows where the diseased portions of the body are, where life and health maintain. The film shows the body radiating, scintillating with light. We had patients under that camera whose light went out from the body for 30 feet. Not one person in the 98 cases worked with ever remained before that camera 3 minutes before they were completely healed and walked away. All we did was to say, "Here, you are paying all of your attention to the dark spots, aren't you? You are not paying any attention to the light and these light places and where the light is coming from. Now just let go of the dark spots completely. Put your whole thought and attention on the light." Every one of the 98 cases, each of whom was brought in on a stretcher, walked away completely well. Now, isn't that evidence that you heal yourself? You treat yourself, and that is absolute. If we would adhere to these positive expressions, we would soon see that there would be no more disease. It has been named a certain disease, and we keep repeating that name over and over. Now thoughts and names are things, and if we put them forth in the absolute position in which they were intended, and in the vibratory frequency in which they belong, perfection will manifest. That is true in the case of every invention that has ever come forth. A great many of us think we have to get in and dig and dig. We discovered that in our research work. We had no logarithms to go by. We built them up ourselves as necessary. We would get so far and then find we had made a mistake and go back and work it over again. We are like little children learning to walk. But today we are able to walk because we have the mechanical devices, and we are building more devices today that will take up from where we leave off. Here is an experience we had to make my point. We needed a man for a specific work. We had been working for a long time on a given problem and were seemingly at the crossroads when this young man came up from Columbia University. He had never had any experience with this type of work, yet in 25 minutes he had solved our problem. Here we had been working on the whole thing for almost 4 years. Now what happened? He knew that he knew every moment of the time, and he went into that office and he said to himself, "I know this situation." And he brought forth the solution just by knowing. I have had the same thing happen, and I know it is real. This happened to me at Calcutta University. I joined what is known there as the preparatory school for Calcutta University when I was 4 years old. The very first day I attended, the teacher said to me, "Here is the alphabet. What do you think about that?" I said, "I don't know." And he replied, "Well, if you keep that up, you will never know. Now turn right around and let go of that 'I don't know' and know that you know what that is." And through that very thing, I went through that school and went on and completed Calcutta University when I was 14 years old. These things are so simple, we pass them up. We think when we go to the university that we have to get in and dig it all out of books. Anything that has ever been written in a book is already known. If you will take that position, you will know it too. You make a book a crutch to get along with, instead of accepting that it is already within yourself. You are the master. You master these things. And that is possible in all walks of life. And we are beginning to recognize that as we learn to rise out of our negative conditions or consciousness. Gradually, we are learning that it has been of no value to us, so why keep it up? The value is to know and be that very thing that you pronounce, and from there on, you will continue to go ahead. Nearly all of the people who are going ahead with these different plans take that attitude today. It is so with better than 90% of the inventions coming out today. And see what we are accomplishing today. We are accomplishing more and have accomplished more in the last 6 years than we did in the 80 years previous. Now, I have been through those experiences and a little more than that, and I know exactly how it has stepped up today. And it has stepped up for the very reason that we stand squarely on our feet and know that we know these things. They are there. If an invention was not already in existence, no one would ever get the frequency of the vibration that is set up to bring that into recognition. That frequency is there, and the moment you train your mind and your thoughts, you will know exactly what you want to express. That is why we have gone ahead so remarkably today. There are, of course, a great many avenues to that hardly need any reference. So many people recognize that, but those who do not recognize it should take particular pains to know that they do know and stand squarely by that declaration. It is the declaration that brings you through every time. It has often been said that there is nothing new in the universe, and that is true. If that were not true, there would be no representative vibration that could be picked up so that one could think of a given thing. All of those fields are in certain vibratory influences. Our whole life is vibration, and of course we segregate that to a certain extent, but when we begin to realize that we are capable of turning in with those vibrations and making them our own, then all those things become perfectly natural to us. Almost every inventor today realizes that he is not recording or bringing out anything but what has already at some time been recorded in vibratory frequency. The same is true in literature. Every book ever written has, at some time, been recorded in vibratory frequency. No spoken word ever goes out of existence. All are in the field known as the field of energy or vibratory influence. Love is a word that comes very close to the word God in vibratory influence, and we know of thousands of healings that have been accomplished with its use. Every known disease gives way to the power of love as we send it out. It builds such remarkable pictures or patterns around individuals too. You can almost see where people give out love. It is like an armor about them. A doctor friend of mine was appointed registrar of a Sioux Indian reservation years ago. I was there on a visit, and he invited me to come and see a test to be made by what we call the medicine man of the tribe. However, he proved to be no ordinary medicine man. The man went away by himself and remained in meditation for 5 years, and when he came out of that meditation, he was ready for the healing service. He started slowly with the first test that was made. He put his arm into a kettle of boiling water and selected a piece of meat from that kettle. The hand came out unharmed. I knew this man for over 2 months after this test, and there was no evidence whatever of any harm to his hand. In the second test, he stood quietly at a distance before 3 of the best marksmen of the tribe. Dr. N, and I took the bullets out of the cartridges, removed the powder, and put in new powder so that we knew there was no fake about it. Each one of those bullets flattened on that man's chest. I still have 2 of those flattened bullets in my possession. After this man took his position in his little teepee, anyone with any deformity, disease, or illness who came to him would leave completely healed. We saw that repeatedly. I became well acquainted with him and asked what his expression was, and he replied that it was similar to the way we express divine love. That man is still living, and he has gone on with his great healing work. We never read about him in the papers. He lives in absolute retirement and never comes out to talk about his work. He once said, "It is my place in life to give to people every attitude of love that I can express, and thereby I receive my great reward." There is a Sioux Indian that very few people have ever heard of performing a true service of divine love, silently, selflessly. In Texas, a number of years ago, I heard stories of a little girl 5 years old who was a natural healer through love. I went down to meet her, and her mother told me the child was always telling everybody that she loved them. She would say, "I see that love all around everybody and around myself." Whenever she heard of anyone who was ill, she would ask her mother to take her to them, and in almost every instance where she was taken into the room of the sick person, that one would get right up out of bed perfectly well. That child has gone on to develop, and she is doing a great work today. There are many such instances. I knew a child in Holland. In Holland, they have the red clover. It stands up about 15 or 16 inches above the ground with beautiful blossoms. The clover is just about level with the porch floor of the farmhouse. I was visiting there one Sunday afternoon, and we were sitting on the front porch when that child walked right out across the field of clover for about 30 yards, right on those heads of clover. She never touched the ground with her feet. She just walked out, turned around, and came back, stepped onto the porch. We asked the child how she accomplished that. She said, "I don't know. I just give love to everything. I love that clover, and that clover holds me up." And we found that she did. She talked about her playmates and said that she loved them all, and they loved her, and so nothing could happen to them. I knew this girl until she was 21 years old. She moved into Belgium at that time, and there I lost track of her. Her father told me that the only word he had ever heard her use was love for everybody, and that love heals. Every one of us can do the same thing. It is so simple to radiate that great love out to everyone, even as those children did. When I was in Spain at one of the largest copper mines in the world, a Russian family with a little girl, 11 years old, moved over there, and the father was working in the mine. They told me their child had what was known as the healing touch. She would put her hands on a person and say, "I love you, and I love you so much that your illness has passed away. It is gone. I have filled that space with love." And we found that to be true. In the case of a deformity, the body would become absolutely perfect. I saw a person in almost the last stages of epilepsy. This girl put her hand on that individual and said, "Your whole body is full of love, and I see only the light." In less than 3 minutes, that malady was gone completely. The light and love emanating from her being were so powerful we could actually see it and feel it. When I was a small boy, I was playing with some of the children just outside our home in Canada, India. Darkness was approaching very rapidly, for in that country there is no twilight. One little boy picked up a stick and hit me across the arm and broke both bones, and my hands fell right back. Of course, at first it was terribly painful, and then my thoughts went to a statement I had been given by my teacher: "Go into the darkness and put your hand on the hand of God, for that is better than a light and safer than a known way." That light just surrounded me, and almost instantly that pain vanished completely. I climbed up into a great banyan tree to be alone, and the light still surrounded me. I looked at it as a present, but I'll never forget the incident, and as I sat there alone in that tree, that hand righted itself. I remained up in that tree all night. The next morning there was no sign of a break except for a ridge across the 2 bones which had been broken. Now my parents thought I had been cared for and put to bed by the servants. When I told them next morning what had happened, they couldn't believe it and took me to a doctor immediately. He said the bones had been broken, but were knitted perfectly now. From that day on, the hand never bothered me. I merely cite a few of these instances as examples because they are so simple and so natural that all may do the same. I have seen where the building itself responded to the love poured out by an entire audience. As the immortal Gautama Buddha has said, to give 5 minutes to the realization of true divine love is greater than to pass 1,000 bowls of food to the needy, because in giving forth love, you help every soul in the universe. It melts right down, of course, to the words we use and the thoughts and feelings we have. Words are things. Thoughts are things. Where your thoughts are, you are. When we learn to discipline and control our thoughts and feelings and use only the positive, constructive words sent forth with divine love, our body and mind respond to that righteousness, right useness. The right use and selection of words is of vital importance, but equally important is the feeling behind those words, for feeling is the motivating power that makes the words live. This is where divine love enters in. It doesn't mean we are to go around saying, love, love, love. We speak the words once, with feeling, with vision, with conviction, with acceptance, and instantly the law moves into action to bring it into fulfillment. Before ye have spoken, I have answered. It is already there. In the words of Buddha, use love, concentrate upon it, treat yourself with love morning, noon, and night. As you sit down to partake of your food, use love, think it, feel it, and your food will taste a lot better. There are many gems given forth by Buddha which have never been printed. The poet Tagore used many of them in his writings. He was a man who knew how to use and express love. He knew it. He was. He is. Love is far the most important thing of all. It is the golden gate of paradise. Pray for the understanding of love. Meditate upon it daily. It casts out fear. It is the fulfillment of the law. It conquers a multitude of sins. Love is abundantly invisible. Love will conquer all. There is no disease that enough love will not heal today. No door that enough love will not open. No gulf that enough love will not bridge. No wall that enough love will not throw down. No sin that enough love will not redeem. From the Cloud of the Unknowing.